Hello and welcome to SAFC Fan TV. No, your eyes don't deceive you. It is me. I am back for a guest appearance. As you can see, there's only two of us for the time being. We are expecting Michael, Terry, and Jacob at some point, but they must be running a bit late. But joining us tonight so far, we've got, you probably missed us saying this, but the best looking lad on the show. We've got Mr. Jack Shields. Evening, Jack. How are you doing?
Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Wayne. I appreciate that. I'll give you money later for that. Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay. Not a great deal happening on the Sunderland front, but plenty to discuss. Personally, I'm all right. So yeah, looking forward to another hour. And as I speak, why don't I introduce him? We've just been joined by the mad mistake, Mr. Terry Wall. How's it going, mate?
Champion, champion. You all right?
I am. Yes.
How are you?
Yeah, not bad. I was bad last week, full of man flu, but this week I'm much better on the men. So happy days.
Not worse, mate. Not worse than man flu.
A nice free weekend. No football this weekend, isn't it? Just
England
internationals.
Well, I suppose it might be a good thing the way things are at the minute, having a week off. So as you might be able to see in the top right hand corner there, we've got a new logo there, the Retro Hub. So we have got a new sponsorship going with the Retro Hub. The links
that way.
The link for the website is in the description below, but they have got some good stuff on there. I'll just quickly show you some of the stuff what they've got. So some nice retro cushions there, nice mouse, keyboard protector, and there's some nice cups there. So there's loads more retro stuff on the site. So if you want to have a look and have a bit nosy around, they've got some really, really good sun and stuff on there. But to have a look. Terry's disappeared. Where's he gone?
He's left already. Sick of us already.
Already. So we'll kick off by looking at the QPR game. Really, there's not much to talk about. Really, it's probably one of the most boringest games we've ever seen for many a time. But Jack, QPR, coming off the back of them 60 feet in a row, we had to try and do something to stop the rot. So what was your thoughts when you seen the team with Emir back in the team and Styles at left back? Not that he had much option, really.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we sort of, on the show last week, we earmarked this as the one to get in and get us over the line and make sure we're going to be safe. And it didn't turn out that way. The starting lineup was a bit strange. I can understand the defensive, like you say, makeshift positions because we had trouble, didn't we? Look, 09 still suspended, and we've got one or two injuries. Seals pulled up in training, so we couldn't play. So we're not blessed with a lot of options in defence. But what I couldn't understand, as you touched on, is Emir up front again. He offers absolutely nothing, and I've tried to give him a chance. I've been critical of him, and sometimes when I watch Sunderland players, I write off a little bit. There's people, listening and watching that'll do the same. You see your players, you think, oh, he's terrible, and then you give him a bit more of a chance, and sometimes he comes back and proves you wrong, doesn't he? And you think, actually, I was a bit too harsh. Emir, Samir, or whatever we want to call him, I've given him more than enough chances to try and see what he can do, and he just, for a striker, he doesn't do anything, does he? Doesn't hold the ball up. He doesn't chase the defenders and put them under pressure. He doesn't score. He doesn't link very well. It's like we're carrying a passenger when he's on the pitch. So yeah, he really, really disappointing from him, but disappointing game overall. I think the only positive we can probably say when we ended the run of losses, we'd lost 6 in a row. And if it is a positive, we ended that sort of bad run. Not that we got a win, but that was the only real positive because the two main chances in the game, it was a drab game, and the two main chances in the game were actually QPR, weren't they? The one in the first half where they nearly scored when Patterson was out of his goal, and then second half when they brought the lad on that was tearing us up the pitch, and the lad should have finished, really. So really, we were lucky to escape with a 0. But having said that, we tried to take the positive, ended the sequence of losses. But yeah, it was a pretty boring encounter, and it nothing really to discuss from our point of view.
No, going back to Emir, I mean, going back to when Tony Mowbray was here, he was the one said Emir wasn't anywhere near ready. And do you think that's probably why he hasn't been getting a start? I reckon he's lazy in training. And to be fair, he hasn't really looked like scoring in the games he's played recently, has he? I don't think he's had a chance, to be fair. But he had one where it flashed across the face of the goal the other week. But apart from that, he's not even looked like scoring.
Yeah, I think if he was getting involved a little bit more and he was linking up and he was linking up with the midfield and he was getting in the box, even if he had a few off target shots, you would sort of say, oh, there is something there. But I can't really see what he offers. I just want to bring a comment in there. Ryan Duggan saying he thinks he's going to be a player one day. I can see it from his time at Benfica. And it almost looks like he's not sure what he's been told to do. Well, Ryan's got a little bit more faith in him than I have, and I hope Ryan, I'm wrong, but I can't see that there's a player in there at the minute. I mean, we are a young side, as we've touched on a lot, and he is a young player, but at the minute he looks like he's well off where we'd want him to be anyway.
He's miles away, and like I say, with rushing out injured, you've now got probably to the end of the season either Burst or Emea. It doesn't fill you with confidence at all. But just before we come to Terry, so we've got 83 people watching. Don't forget you can get involved in the comments as well. We've got Jack keeping an eye on the comments. He'll pick out some of the good ones that he sees.
Yeah, I'll do that now, Wayne. Sorry, I've neglected my duties a little bit, so I should have said it earlier on in the piece. So we've got evening, everyone from Mickey Mack, Paul Havelock saying evening, as is Conrad Tank. David and Gary Talbot are also saying evening, lads. David Walker saying hi, lads, as is Paul Havelock. David Joblin, David Edwards. A lot of Davids on tonight, isn't there? How many Davids did I say there? David, and David. Ryan Duggan's comment, which I've already brought up. And L12 Bong, very interesting name there, L12 Bong. Hemir doesn't track back to defend. He's useless, but then he gives a bit of a Howie. So he's trying to get behind him, I think what he's meaning by that. But Hemir isn't impressing Mr. Bong either.
No, not at all. Don't forget, if you don't mind, hit that like button as well. We do try and get towards 100 likes on the stream. We've currently got 18 likes so far, so hit that like button. So, Terry, just been saying there, QPR, not really much to talk about, but what was your thoughts when you're saying that the team obviously was a plus point, Ballard being fit, but based on his performance, you would say was nowhere near fit, I didn't think. And just been touching what your thoughts on Emea as well.
Like I said, but I mean, we don't really have much choice, do we? At the moment, we've sent Meander up to Hibs, which was probably a silly mistake in hindsight. Like I say, Hemir has done nothing all season at all to impress. I mean, it was one opportunity very early in the season where he's 1-on-1 with the keeper and he puts it too high or whatever it was, and he's had a handful of chances throughout numerous games throughout the season. And when he plays for the under-23s or under-21s, he just looks very lethargic and as if like he doesn't know what he's doing there. So he's either very, 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 very naive at the moment and not sort of up to the run of play, doesn't understand what the head coach is trying to do. But then again, we are kind of playing it without the strike, man. We've done it for a long time now. We kind of get our coaches kind of get strikers involved in the game. But at the same time, they're not really out and out strikers in the first place. So I think, to be fair, I'll be tempted to let Hemir go in the summertime, get rid of Burstow, send him back to Chelsea. Then we've got Rushin, we've got Meander. Rushin's injured at the moment. I don't know how long he'll be out for. Bring Meander back, and if he's not cutting it up with the Hibs, is he really going to be successful in the Championship? So really, to be fair, they've kind of underachieved big style with the strikers. They've tried to go on the cheap route, and I don't mean that, no disrespect to the players, as in cheap, as in get them in young when they think that when they're fledglings and they're going to hopefully one of them will improve to be a decent player. But it looks as if, to be honest, none of them are really going to be up to the standard of the Championship, and we need to start all over again from scratch. So it's disappointing. It couldn't really do much else with it. We haven't really got much, to be honest. We've got a lot of injuries, about 10 players out. Chris Rigg, when Chris Rigg came on, it looked a bit better. I think Rigg links up pretty well with Trey Hume. I think Trey Hume had a decent game, but like we never had one shot on target, so it was a poor game all round. And QPR should have really stole the points at the end. That guy Armstrong down the right hand side, tossing you one 3 times in 5 minutes, and the second ball that came across, a lot of strikers should have buried that. Luckily, it was almost that. Patterson gave him a chance to get down and do a really good save, so he kind of saved the day, to be honest, Patterson. But it was a really poor, boring game all round, and it doesn't really give you much hope for the rest of the season, to be fair.
No, not at all. I say it should have been 7 defeats in a row. From where I was sitting, it was just an absolutely shocking. There's a nice comment from Urban Prepper. Yes, bring back Mike. Jack, so if we've got to end the season with Burstow or Emea, do you think we possibly should go back to the way we were before, with playing with no strikers? The last 2 games when we've took a striker off and put a midfielder on, and Job's kind of played up in that 10 position. We've looked better. So, for me, I would probably be tempted to play with no strikers for the rest of the season.
I don't think we've got anything to lose by doing that way. I agree. I think Bellingham is better off in a forward position, whether that's sort of playing off the striker if we had one as an actual number 9 himself. I know he's not a number 9, but playing in that role and doing the best that he can, I think is probably going to mean he isn't getting involved with the sort of the tackling aspect, and he doesn't need to have that defensive protection because he's further up the pitch. He's got less responsibilities and he's more focused on, creating goals and getting in the final third, which I think will bring the best out of Joe potentially. I think when he's a bit further back, he's forced to get on the ball a little bit more, and I think that's when he's, if you push him and you press him, he'll give a few bad balls away and it doesn't involve very much. So I think possibly at the end of the day, I don't think we've got anything to lose by playing him there, certainly at least in one game. Maybe try it at Cardiff away, I don't know, and see what happens. But it's not a very appetising choice, is it? An 18-year-old, unproven 18-year-old up front, Burst, who's not done much, or Hamia the poor, you know what I mean? So it's a real depth of options, and we've always been relying on somebody like a Jack Clark all season. So if he is going to be out between now and the end of the season, it's not many goals. You can't see many goals in that Sunderland team, can you? So it's slightly concerning.
It is. Terry, you mute. First time of the night.
I think Burstow started in the under-21 game, didn't he? On yesterday or the day before, and he couldn't score against an under-21 team, so it doesn't really boast well for the rest of the season. You would just send them back and and sell Semedo and just start all over again in the summer.
It's poor. I mean, I think I read somewhere that the starting lineup against Newcastle during the week, that under-21s had a higher average age than what I was starting lineup at against Coventry. So shocking, like it's just but before we just move on, because it was a boring game, there's not much to talk about. Just at half time and full time. Now I thought we got booed off both times, but other people said they were actually booing the ref. But I thought we got booed off. What was your thoughts on that, Jack? Was it us or was it the ref?
I wasn't sure because I'd probably already gone down on the concourse by the time that whistle went, so I'm not sure. But I did hear a few murmurings of discontent. I can't really think if it was the ref though, Wayne, what we would be booing the ref for. Did he give anything to get? I can't really recall us having a penalty shout or anything, so I can't really think what they would be booing the ref for. Maybe a dodgy yellow card. You wouldn't blame anybody for booing. I'm not a huge fan of booing, but I can understand it when we come at home against the team in the bottom half and we play as poorly as we did in the first half and the second half, then people they're entitled to it. If they're entitled to voice their opinion, and if booing's what they want to do, then I can't blame them because we were shocking.
Aye. Just before Terry's finished his coughing fit.
One thing that I did want to bring up though, Wayne, sorry to interrupt you, was Patterson. I thought,
yes.
Speaking about the dearth of positives, we criticised him, and I've criticised him a lot in the last few weeks because he's flapped at a few goals and yet his kicking hasn't been great. I have to give him a bit of credit when it's due. I like to try and be fair, and if I criticise somebody when I think they've played poorly, I like to bring up when I think they've played well. So he made a couple of good saves, didn't he? I mean, that first one, I was ready for the net to be broken, and he got there. And then the second one, I think that was probably not as good as a save, really. I think the QPR player should have buried it, but he still had to get there, and he got his body in the way. So he made two decent saves. So I just thought I'll bring that up because we've been critical of him. So you have to praise him when he has a decent game. I'm not saying he was fantastic, but he made a couple of good saves.
He won us a point, didn't he? At the end of the day, hadn't been, it could have been 3 or 4. But Terry, officials, did you see any booing or did you hear any booing? Like I heard the booing, but I thought it was us getting booed off, not the officials.
I thought when I originally heard it was us getting booed off, but I heard a lot of people saying the officials were poor. But to be honest, I didn't really quite notice them because the game was that bad in the first place. And I completely agree with Jack. I think Patterson, for me, man of the match. He saves the day.
100%.
But it is what it is. You've got that many injuries, and we haven't strengthened certain areas, so we are looking really weak at this moment in time. And just as well, we've got plenty of points in the bag. Otherwise, I think we'll be in for squeaky bum time towards the end of the season.
I'm still in the squeaky bum time area. I'm not convinced that we're safe yet. And I think
we are. I think there's too many points with too many teams between us to worry about relegation. I think.
Jack, do you agree?
2 more points or 1 more win. We've got to get to 50 points. What we are now, 48, I think. 48. I think I'll be safe. I'll think we'll be safe, and I'll be a little bit more confident at 50. I think Terry's probably right. I think it would be incredibly unlikely that we did go down from this point. I think we would have to lose all of the remaining games, which, as bad as we've been, I don't think even Sunderland are capable of that. So I'd like to think we can get a couple of draws, but I just think I'd be more satisfied if we had 50 on the board. I just think that's a round figure that I don't think many teams get relegated with. So I think either 2 more draws or 1 more win.
I mean, even if we lose all the games, you're thinking like the QPR, Huddersfield, they've got to win quite a few of their games to get above us. 3 or 4 games in the struggling as well. So you can't say all of them teams picking up all them points and us not getting any points whatsoever. I mean, at some point we'll get some players back between now and the end of the season.
It's massively unlikely, but I mean, we weren't even talking about that a couple of weeks ago, and it's only because we've been on a bad run now that we are bringing it up. So hopefully, we can get a win sooner rather than later. I'll just bring a few comments in, Wayne, if that's all right. So John Ruddock says, don't listen to all that investment rubbish, just like players. We didn't get that, can't be trusted. I think he's talking about the board and the model there, so to speak. I've said the M word, sorry. Anthony Lee's joining us tonight. Ryan Duggan says, thinks he needs to go with Job up top. Rushan seems better off the wing, and Job's been our best player up top all season, possibly. John Ruddock says he's renewed his season tickets already. He must be mad, but it's a love for the club. We'll come on to renewals in later in the show, John. That is something that we're going to discuss. Paul Havelock, is it not a lack of players wanting to come to the club, or is it money issues? I would probably say maybe a combination of both. Paul Havelock, Mike's in training for the next match. Mash Mariner, I honestly think Hamia and Rushan would do well up front together. I'm not too sure on that. Probably disagree there, but it's a fair point. John Nesbitt, one half of the Nesbitt brothers. This club's like a performance car. It has no engine. Ryan Duggan says, would you not rather keep him here than sell him? He won't go for much, and I can't imagine a lot of teams are interested. That might be a point for Terry to pick up on when I've finished. Bobby Cowley says, will the start burst or just to keep Chelsea happy? Callum wants to go up front. L12 Bong says he feels sorry for the fans. Somebody thinks we should have a penalty. Paul Havelock says we've been unlucky with injuries, and that's just about where we are up to now.
Great stuff. Cheers, Jack. 122 people watching and 37 likes, so please continue to hit that like button. Terry, pick up on that point about Emma, but if you try and sell him, who would buy him? Who would be interested? Anybody?
No idea. I mean, let's face it, we could just cut our loss. We didn't really buy him from that much in the first place. It was a 750,000, 850,000. Sometimes, I mean, you could keep for another season, but it's another place where you could bring somebody else in to improve the squad, couldn't you? So, I mean, it's only the coaches and the owners will know whether he's got any kind of potential to improve again next season. He just looks very slow. Looks like he hasn't got a clue what he's doing. He looks just all over the place at the moment. There's no enthusiasm. There's no energy. He doesn't want to track back. He doesn't want to drive into the penalty box. The exact instance the other day, it was almost through at one point. And he just slowed the game right down. Drive for the penalty box. And Bar's another one. Bar again, get rid in the summertime. Here's another one. We're kind of 3-on-3 at one point, and he gets the ball on the left. And he just slows it down to a dawdle's pace. I mean, what's going on? Drive for that penalty box. Make them do a challenge. Just why are you slowing everything right down? I would get shot at Bar and get shot at Semedo the first 2 up the door for me in the summer.
I think there'd be a few on my list to get rid of.
I wish them all the best. Don't get me wrong. There might be decent players in the League 1 or League 2, and they've done really well at the standard. But I just think for the Championship, if we want to get promoted to the Premier League one year, players like that are not going to cut it for me.
No. The only teams I can think of that might be interested in Hamia might be a Portuguese team if his reputation's not as bad over there. Do you know what I mean? If I know it was Benfica B team, but it might be somebody in Portugal might potentially want. That's the only people I could say that would be potentially interested.
I read a great quote from somebody on one of the comments on one of the channels. Says Emir runs like he's holding a shit in. But anyway, we'll move on. We've talked far too much about QPR. So we will touch on the season ticket renewals in a little bit. But first, it was announced this week about the multi-million-pound investment into the stadium. Surprise, surprise. This was announced just before the season tickets came out. There was always going to be something come out, wasn't there? Promising us the world and God knows what before the the season ticket hike came out. But so you have both seen these new investments and what the new or what they're going to spend the money on, including a new PA system, new floodlights, a new pitch with undersoil heating, new 5G network in the stadium, safe standing, which is probably the most positive one out of all of them. 3,000 safe standing seats. So, what was your thoughts? Come to you, Jack, first when you saw these new announcement during the week of this new multi-million-pound investment?
Well, it's much needed. I think there's probably sections of the stadium of Lightway that haven't had any maintenance or upgrades since the stadium was built. Now, I think when we built the stadium in 1997, it was brilliant, fresh new stadium. But it's like anything, if you don't update it and modernise it and maintain it, it decreases in value and it looks poor. So there are some sections of the stadium. I mean, just one or two issues that we've spoken about, things like the hand dryers and the no hot water. But you can see, I've heard that, I don't know how true this is, but that there's a leak in the roof. That's what I've heard, that there's a leak in the roof. I've also heard that the stadium's being run off a temporary generator. And then in some sections, you can see where there's like damp in the stadium as well, on the walls and the corners and things like that. So, in particular, the maintenance of the stadium, that needs to be done. I think I've seen something on Twitter where it looks like it's being jet washed today. I don't know how accurate that was, but it did look like it was getting a bit of a jet wash. So that's at least something. I think it's also not what you are at the minute, it's where you want to be. If we want to be a Premier League football club with ambitions and aspirations, stuff like the stadium, it does make a difference. So I think that is welcome. Now, I'll just briefly touch on one or two of the things that you've actually spoken about in terms of what they're doing. Safe standing, I think, is great. I think I really want safe standing at the stadium. Like, I mean, I tend to stand a lot of the time in the southwest corner anyway, but if we can trial that and it goes down well, then hopefully that's something positive going forward. The 5G network, again, I don't have any problems with the network. I usually get that, but I know a lot of people, like my mum's a season ticket holder, and she says that she's never able to get signal. So that is something at least. And the pitch, again, the undersoil heating, we can't have any games sort of postponed when it gets to November and December. It's always cold at the stadium anyway, so we don't want to have any problems with the pitch or undersoil heating. So again, that's all positive. And I think overall, it's a small step in the right direction, isn't it, Wayne? I agree. Cynically, I thought the same when the season tickets are coming out. I thought, here we go. But it's a very, very small step. But at least they might be looking like they're listening to people and wanting to improve. So,
I mean, I've seen them comments well about the hand dryers and the telly's turned off on the concourse and what have you. Terry,
Did you know the TVs are not allowed to be on by law when the match is on?
Is that because of broadcasting?
Yeah, they're not allowed to have them on. They're not allowed to have, like, whatever it is, like, I don't know, any kind of, like, programs or whatever. That's what I was told.
Well, I didn't know that. But just touching on what Jack's been saying there, I think everybody will have been the same when they came out. Will have all been a bit cynical and thought, here we go, they're promising us this. Now, the way I look at it is it's nice to have all these new things getting done, a new pitch and new floodlights and new PA system. But end of the day, I got into the match to watch a good team on the pitch. And without that investment in the squad, all them things mean now to me. You know what I mean? So I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
That's what, really, to be fair, that's what we need to hear from the ownership. It's all well and coming out and saying he's going to do all this to the stadium, but we also want to hear them about the future of the football club as well, about the team, about what's going to happen in the pre-season. It'd be nice to hear from the owner maybe once a year, especially when all the rumours were around about him selling up and somebody, all these kind of things floating around. So people thinking, is he just doing it up like you do a house up to sell on, or is he just doing it up because it needs doing and trying to make the fans happy? And I understand what he's trying to do, and it does need the facelift completely because it is starting to deteriorate, and I can't get Wi-Fi at all in the stadium. As soon as I walk through the door, that's me shut off altogether. So I can't text anybody or message anybody. So 5G, whether that works, I'm still a bit dubious if that's going to work as well. But yeah, I'm pleased with all the facelifts. I hope they do the whole lot. I hope they do it. I don't know where the money's coming from to do that. I don't know if it's coming out of KLD's bank balance pocket or it's going to go on some sort of loan. I don't know how he's going to fund that. I know roughly if on average everybody's season card goes up by £30, and if the tickets are going up, per ticket as you go in the say if somebody buys a ticket on a Saturday, someone else the next Saturday. If we sell 40,000 sort of seats every single home game, it's about 1.2 million. They'll get extra for that if it's an average of 30. So it's just So that'll probably go towards the upkeep of the. I don't know how much it's going to cost. I've got no idea how much it'll cost to do all these. It's going to cost millions, I would have thought. I don't know if it'll cost tens of millions. I've got no idea how much it's going to cost whatsoever. But it is a step in the right direction. But at the same time, I want to hear more from the owner about what's going on with the team, what's going on with the head coach. Why are we waiting at the end of the season? Is it a plan in place? Is he staying? Is Sartori selling his shares? Let's just have a bit more clarity on what's going on, because the fans at the moment are all over the place. Some fans are not going to buy season cards because they're sick to death of the shite on the pitch. They're sick of the investment in the team. They're sick of Speakman. So I know a lot of people said they're not buying the season cards, so this bit's sorted out. Then they might buy season card when they start investing in the team. I've got people who are like me. I don't even know how the season card works. I just let mine. I just don't touch it. And then it renews itself. I think that's the way it works. So I'll be going again because obviously I enjoy going to the game. It's about £1 a game, so you expect most things to go up in life. I know you do, but I would have said freeze the old age pensioners and don't put theirs up personally. And you know what, but it is what it is. But I think I want to hear more from the owners about the intentions of KLD. Simple as, not just hiding away.
Because you're an old age pensioner yourself now, Terry. Is that why you think?
I think I'm about another 22 years away yet, mate. So I just had a hard trip around, that was all.
Jack, just to pick up on that, like I just said, it's for me, it means now if we're not going to the game. Yes, it enhances the experience a little bit, but I didn't go into the game and think, oh, these floodlights are nice. I mean, we've got a decent pitch to start with, haven't we? You know what I mean? That's not a bad pitch. The PA system we know has been a bit ropey for years. It sounds like the bloke's taught underwater. But do you agree with Terry that we need to get on the pitch things right sorted first? That would have been my intention straight away.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, it's a step in the right direction, but it's only a very, very small step. And the main pressing issue is the lack of investment in the team. And I agree with everything that you and Terry are saying. That is the main pressing thing. We don't go to the stadium like look at the stadium. We go to the stadium to watch our team and hopefully hope that they're going to be successful. So please don't think I'm saying like don't spend on the team, because that is the main pressing issue. But I just thought it might be something that they are listening. Do you know what I mean? That we have brought up these issues on this show and probably other podcasts that you listen to that I won't mention. But this has been an ongoing issue. So I'd like to think at least that they're starting to think, hang on, yeah, they have made some good points. We are taking that on board. I appreciate cynically it has come at the time that the season ticket renewals, and there will be an element of that. They're going to try and spin any positive story that they can, particularly when the form's been bad, and particularly when I know a few people that are saying that they're not going to renew. So there is going to be that. But I just think it might be a small step in the right direction. But I agree with Terry's point. I think we do need a little bit more transparency from them, just coming out and saying, look, this is who we are, this is what our intentions are. I mean, we know virtually what they're doing, but there is still a lot. I mean, Sartori, somebody that's been involved in 2 different ownership models, I don't think he's ever come out and spoken publicly, hasn't he? He's quite a mysterious character, I find Sartori. I know he's worth a lot, and he apparently has a lot of say behind the scenes, but we don't actually know that much about him at all, really, do we? So I agree with the communication as well.
Well, I read somewhere it might have been this week or last week. I read it was actually Sartori who told Beale he was getting the sack. Man, I don't know we'll never know how far that's true, but I mean, it just shows you we never hear from him. But if he's the one that's giving all the hard conversations of sacking people, then is he silent in the background? Yeah,
he's like Marlon Brando in the Godfather, isn't he?
If Sartori's the one that's sort of going to try and get his fingers in another club and have own 3 parts of 3 different clubs, maybe he's the one who's going to sell his shares first. Maybe Sartori's on the way out, maybe KLD's going to buy the whole lot. But like I say, I want to see more from KLD. I completely understand fans who love to go to the game and they'll buy a season card and follow the team and the club that they love, regardless how bad the owners are, how bad Speakman is, how bad the team is. And I also understand the other side where people are just had enough of being taken the piss out of and don't want to go for the state of the team this season. So everyone has their own opinion, has their own right to do what they want. There's no right and wrong way about it. We all different animals. We all do different things. And like I say, for the person who doesn't want to go until the team improves, good luck to him. The same as me. I'll go anyway because I can't see Wincy and we'll go down there and make the David. So, but I want to see. I understand you got to do up there. You've got to implement all these changes as well because you don't really start buying players until the January and until the summertime in the transfer window. But I want to hear something of the future of the club. Last season, I mean, Speakman said, "Oh, we want to make top 2." Well, that's absolute balls. We're nowhere near ever going to make top 2 this season with the investment in the strikers and the way they've done it. I know they've gone completely from one end to the other. They've gone from all the old brigade down to the youngs brigade. But now he's trying to do it with all the youngsters. Maybe they all come together. They've got a lot of energy, a lot of youth, and they might all just work well together and get promoted, and might work out as a one-off thing. But clearly, it's not worked. So now he's got to adjust the model, change the model. And like Sam Allardyce said it in an interview during the week, he said when he goes to an interview to be a head coach, the interview is the most important thing. He wants to know what interference from the top is coming down to his role. And any head coach worth any salt wouldn't want anybody interfering all the time to do with his job. So for me, that's got to stop. We've got to have a head coach in who has a free role of just getting on with things, and even has a lot to do with bringing in players as well. A lot of input, and the sporting director can just sit up there and keep his gob shut most of the time and leave the head coach to get on with the team.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? We've been an absolute shambles since Tony Mowbray left. It's all been an absolute shit show, to be honest with you. But Jack, do you think that these things what they're going to implement will persuade people to buy or renew or buy a new season ticket? For me, it's only tokenistic stuff that they're going to be doing. It's not enough to persuade somebody to go and purchase a season ticket. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you're going to be swayed one way or the other, aren't you? If you're going to renew, you're not going to suddenly say, well, I'm not, or vice versa. You weren't going to renew. You're not going to suddenly say, well, I'm going to renew now because... So I don't think that's going to be what you base your decision on. And I am quite cynical sometimes when I do look at it the way that you look at it and think it's perfect timing for the renewal. So I do think there's that as well. But I just think we have a lot of people have sort of spoken about those issues, and I try and think positively and say, well, we are recognising that there are one or two things that we need to be doing. Obviously, absolute drop in the ocean compared to everything else that's going on, particularly with the team. But I just think, it might be a slight positive to say, right, okay, they are taking one or two things on board, but it's, minor. In terms of what we're wanting from them, it is minor. I'll just read a few of the comments out from here, and then I'll bring Terry in. Mike says it's too little. Put that money into contracts and players, please. Otherwise, we're going to have the most expensive ground in League One. Hopefully not. John Ruddock says it won't happen, Jack. I think that was when I was talking about standing potentially. And where are we? Earl Bong says getting halftime results on your phone has always been shocking. Yeah, I'm okay with the signal, but I know a lot of people aren't, so it might be me. Paul Havelock brings an interesting point up, though. He says we would due fined under health and safety regulations if we hadn't improved the ground. So maybe it is actually forced upon us. Paul's brought up a decent point that I haven't heard anything of that, but Paul might have touched on something there. We might, if we were due to get fined, I don't know. L12 Bonk under soil heating. What about under seat heating come January? You've got no chance of that. Absolutely no chance of that. DJ says Watson says the east stand roof is flaking off. It probably is. I mean, I don't sit over there, but one or two mentioned health and safety and what we could do with the screens. John Nesbitt says KLD should have finished the ground off by extending it to 65,000. I don't think that would have ever been come into fruition. We're going to get nowhere near 65,000, so absolutely no chance of that happening. Jim Nesbitt says SSC have a policy of not commenting on speculation or rumours, even if there was substantiated rumours. Paul Havelock always upgraded ground means more concerts, functions, and ground tours. Grant, I think he means, ground tours. So, yeah, I take on board his point, but I don't think there would have been ever any chance of us extending up with that. Sorry, Terry, what were you going to say?
I forget my second point now, but anyway, the first point was it's kind of, I don't know whether it's just a panic or more of a piss take announcing the season cards on the same day after announcing that. It's like they had some kind of emergency meeting or something at the weekend, then they decided to do all this because, like I say, health and safety. I mean, if there's no hand towels and no paper towels and you go for a piss and you try to wash your hands and you can't do it, then that is health and safety, isn't it? Let's face it. It's pathetic, to be honest. But yeah, I think it's more of a piss take. They could have announced this a week ago or 2 weeks ago and then did the season card maybe 2 weeks later rather than doing it the same day. It's like they're just taking the piss out of us half the time.
That's just something isn't it? That's just the way we seem to be operating. We've been saying how long have we been saying now? Like a League Two team.
Do you know when we had these minutes meeting back in February, or was it January? We had this meeting, and they said there's going to be all these changes implemented by a certain date in February. Were they ever met?
No, it was never said, was there?
Anything about these implemented. You know, all these changes online, all these changes at the club, at the ticket office. You know, sort of respecting the fans and helping them more with certain things. Was any of this actually getting better? Does anybody know? Because I mean, I've never heard anything, any results.
Well, Emma's in the chat has just joined. I think Emma's had a load of bother renewing her season ticket anyway. I've just contacted the club yesterday, so I think she's having bother. So she might stick it in the chat of the issues which is having. 145 people watching. We're on 63 likes, so keep hitting that like button if you don't mind. But these, you know, the issues that we're talking about, the hand dryers and the paper towels and this sort of stuff, do you think that's just now it's exaggerated because of the way things are on the pitch and the way we're being run and the lack of anything coming out from the management? It's all exaggerated, and it's like more things for us to moan about and whinge about, really, isn't it, Jack?
I think we've got a fan base like that, though, haven't we? I think we've got a bigger than average fan base, so everything's going to be amplified. When we're doing really well, it's going to be we're the best things in sliced bread. And when we're doing poorly, and little things like that are going to be brought up more because we're passionate. We've got a lot more fans. I don't think it's probably us, Wayne, but I know what you mean. When everything's going badly, you know, form and people are pissed off at the club, then you know, everything's is sort of made worse, magnified, isn't it? So yeah, I sort of see what you're saying.
Terry, do you agree with that? If, like these little things might have only been minor issues if we were doing all right and still down for the playoffs and what have you?
Well, I mean, if the hairdryer's not working one week and hasn't been fixed the following week, then someone's not doing a job, are they? Let's face it, it's not rocket science. You get things fixed if they're broken. If people are reporting things, you fix it. You know, you kind of go into the toilet and expect to wash your hands, but kind of dry your hands. You probably need soap in there next, so it needs looking at. You go to you go for a walk somewhere, you get the public toilets. Head dryers are working in there. There's paper towels in there. Why can't we have it at the stadium? Like, we're paying like for all that money for season cards, all that money to go and watch Sunderland play. You know, you spend a lot of money each week or even each season on season cards. You can't get a hand towel or a bloody paper towel or a hair dryer to work. A hair dryer, a hand dryer to work. You're not getting a hair dryer. You can't get a fucking hand towel.
Just before we move on, so onto the season tickets, Jack, is there any more comments in there you want to read out?
Yeah, I'll try and do it briefly because there's loads of comments coming on. So sorry if I'm not reading your comment out, but I don't want to just sound like I'm just rabbiting on and not letting people speak. John Nesbitt says KLD and Speakman are the enemy of the club. DJ says Watson, one rumour is that KLD hasn't got 2 billion, it's 7 billion. That probably makes things worse. It's more money. Jay Taylor, if they were serious on developing the team, investment would have been done at the very first point after they took over. Jim Nesbitt, refurb announcement was time to allow seat changes. I think that's sort of what we're touching on. Stephen Clark, what sells is what's for the customers. So for fans, it's a good head coach and good players along with facilities. So Stephen Clark's saying it's a bit of both, really. It's facilities and the team. Paul Havlock disagrees. He thinks that the results are the most important thing. He says results don't improve. Having the best stadium won't matter. I think that was what Mike was saying. You can have a good stadium, but if it's in League One, people aren't happy. And yeah, I think that's just about where we are at the minute. Stephen Clark, I've already read one on Stephen Clark. Last one from DJ says, Watson, every home ground gets a safety check. When his late brother was the club's joiner at Roker Park, he was given a list of jobs to do, which he had to have finished before 12 on Friday. I think there will be some sort of a maintenance manager from the stadium, I think, but maybe we need more people. Maybe we need a whole team or not. I don't know.
Well, that's it. Maybe there's, we've cut back that many. There's not enough people to actually get everything fixed. Could be one thing. But season tickets, and so, like I say, we're getting the renewals. Mine's gone up to 420 quid. I think it's an update of, I think it's another 30 quid from what I paid last year. Now, to be honest, I don't think that's too bad based on, how everything's gone up in the last year, cost of living and what have you. So 30 quid for me is a bit of a fair increase. That's just my opinion. But, Jack, what's your thoughts on your renewal? Do you think it's a fair price, or will it put people off?
I think so. No, I don't think it's a rip-off. I think I've seen other teams in the Championship. I know Middlesbrough was one of them, and theirs is, I think, a lot more than ours. So, considering they're a working-class area as well, I think it's reasonable. I'm not going to say it's dirt cheap, but I think it's reasonable. Somebody said, I can't remember what we were paying 6, 7, 8 years ago when we were last in the Premier League, but I don't think it was that much. You know, it was near enough the same. So I don't think it's increased that much. We've gone down 2 divisions and back up 1, but I don't think it's increased that much considering the cost of living that we're in. I think it's pretty reasonable. I mean, me personally, I would always look to renew if I can. It's part of my life, going to matches and everything. But I completely understand why people are saying times are tough, can't afford it this year. I'm going to, look to cut back and save. I wouldn't ever have a go at anybody for doing that. I think reasonably, I think the prices aren't too bad. I think they're reasonable.
I mean, let us know in the comments. Are you renewing your season ticket? Or have you had enough? I've seen loads of comments saying people are not going to renew, like Terry was saying earlier. That they've just had enough the way they've been run. They think they're getting the eyes took out. But Terry, I think that us three in here will always renew. It's just what we do. But like you said, you can see the reason why some people would be like saying, right, I'm not going anymore. I mean, I've had some people on my channel who've been gone 50, 60 year, and they said, right, enough's enough, I'm not going back. And
that's fair enough. At the end of the day, it's their choice. They've been going that long, they've seen everything, and they think, why at this moment in time we just don't have anybody who seems to care one single bit, or they seem to be just like, trying to save as much money as possible and not spend any money. You're supposed to be a billionaire. We're not asking them to go like break the rules of the FPP or whatever it is, or financial fair play, but we ask them to sort of at least show a little bit of as if he's trying to get promoted, because I don't think at this moment in time it looks as if he even tried to get promoted this season. I know last season we overachieved. Maybe as if we had, like someone said, if we had this season last season, we probably would have been okay with it, because we survived in the championship. But we've done the long way around. We've done really well one season. We haven't made life easy for ourselves. We're getting rid of Tony Mowbray, who was doing a half decent job. He went allegedly to the ownership and expressed these opinions on not having enough experience, and he got sacked. And that's a failing from Speakman for me. I mean, you sack someone like Tony Mowbray and you bring somebody in like Michael Bale. It's just like going shopping from Sainsbury's to Pound Stretcher. It's a waste of time. It's pointless. It just proves how rubbish he is at his job. So in the summertime, the first contract that needs to be sort of quashed and get rid of is Speakman, and get somebody else in. And Kildee, if he's willing to change, and I've heard someone say to me that, he's disappointed with this season. He's disappointed with the way the season's gone on, and he's upset. If that's the case, short, get rid of Speakman, get better advisors in who can advise how to run a club properly, because obviously you can't do it at this moment in time. You need better advisors. His dad, God rest his soul, used to run Marseille, a big club in France. Surely he must have connections somewhere for someone else to come in and advise him better on how to run a club. And if that's the case, if he's not willing to do that, if he's willing to keep Speakman, then clearly he's not interested in getting the club promoted.
Good shout. I mean, I know we've heard comments about the model, about the budge and Speakman. So just on that, on investing in the club, I don't know whether you've seen that what came out today. Now, I know Jack Clark's agent is a little bit of a shithouse and what have you, Ian Hart, but there's something came out today. So I'll just read this out. So Ian Hart lifts the lid on Jack Clark's contract clause in response to Sunderland fans' criticism. We, meaning myself and Jack, were happy to sign an additional deal at Sunderland, but I don't think they are willing to budge. Unfortunately, I think under the current structure that they have, I don't think the offer will increase. So that to me is Jack Clark's willing to stay at the club. Club won't move on the wages. So Jack, what does that tell you about where we are as a club? I mean, you take it with a pinch of salt. Is it Ian Hart trying to get Clark a big move?
Yeah, for me, that's what it is. I don't doubt, all the criticism that everybody levels at the ownership and, how we're sort of penny pinching and that you don't want to break the wage structure and everything. I'll probably think there is an element of that, but I think that just comes across to me. Ian Hart's statement is somebody who's just trying to whip up a little bit of a frenzy. And when Jack Clark does go, he's sort of got a safety net saying, well, the club didn't offer the money that we wanted. I think football agents are only in it for one thing, and that's to make themselves money and get their players and themselves the best possible deal that they can. And that's fair enough, do you know what I mean? But for me, Ian Hart talks too much. I've never heard a Sunderland players agent speak as much as Ian Hart has in the last few months. Have you? I mean, I don't know anybody else in the club. I don't think I know their agent, but I know Jack Clark's agent, Ian Hart, because he keeps chirping up all the time. And I think, if anything, he's making himself look stupid and he's just creating trouble, which is probably what he wants. But I wouldn't trust the word that comes out of his mouth personally. He'll be just trying to get Jack Clark the best possible transfer. And when you think about Clark, to me, he comes across as a little bit naive sometimes, and he is only a young lad. I think if you asked him, one-to-one himself, he probably would say, yeah, I want to play for Sunderland, but I want to play for Sunderland in the Premier League. But those two probably aren't going to happen as quickly as he wants. So he's either going to have to move, is likely, or stay here. But Ian Hart's just in it for himself, isn't he? So I wouldn't trust anything that comes out of his mouth.
I mean, Terry, do you think that could reflect bad on Jack Clark? Should Jack Clark be having a word with Ian Hart and say, yeah, keep your mouth shut? Because to me, that it's looking a little bit similar to the Madger situation, where Madger was coming out and, I want to sign a contract, I want to play, and then left because of his agent getting him a better deal.
Depends how close Jack Clark is with Ian Hart. Depends if they're in it together. Depends, we don't know. It's all it's and maybes. I think Ian Hart's also is he also the agent of Patterson as well? Maybe he's one or two others. I know he's definitely the agent of 2 or 3 players at the club. He's not just Jack Clark, he's other ones as well. But for me, this next, from the end of this season through the next season, tells me everything about these owners. If nothing changes between now and next season, then for me, they've got to go because they've got no ambition whatsoever. If they sell players like Jack Clark and don't reinvest every single penny of them into other players and bring experienced players in, if they don't bring a few experienced players in between now and the new season starts, then clearly they haven't learned the lessons and now want them to be gone. Because at the moment, I'm 50-50. I hate what he did with the Black Cats bar. I honestly, I could swear, but I'm not going to. I hate what he did. A lot of fans will never forgive him for that, But he's the owner of the club. He's now going to put a stance down and try and build some fences. He's going to try and go for the Premier League next season. And the only way he can do that is by get rid of Speakman. It's by get a good head coach in, or a head coach. Let him do his own thing. Get some quality players in. I can understand getting youngsters in, but get some experienced ones as well. And if he's not willing to do that, and we're in the same situation this time next year, then it's absolute bollocks. He just needs to go, simple as.
Well said. Well said.
Make or break season. It's make or break season for me with him this next season. We'll know whether he's just talking shite or whether or not he's just, he's a man of his word. This 5-year plan. This 5-year plan will be up soon. It's going to, and if we're not like the next step up next season we've got to be at least in the playoffs this time next season. And if we're not, the plan is not working. Scrap it and do something else.
For me, Terry, I think they've gone past that. I mean, I want them out now. I just think we've been shit on this year. The transfers that we've signed, they fell lucky with Ballard and Ahmad and what have you. But the majority of the signings that we've made in the last, year and a half, where are they? How was the benefit?
If he sells the club, it wouldn't bother me one single bit. So long as the right owner comes in with the right intentions.
I mean, Jack, the rumours about selling the club, we got that on, I think, was it Sunday, wasn't it, that we got the rumour that the club was up for sale for 75 million. Now, that must have come from somewhere. Do you think that could still happen? Is he doing all these investing this money to make it a better option, a viable option to sell to somebody?
Possibly. There is an element of that. I do think that his wealth's probably been inflated. When we heard of who was taking over, we thought it was going to be great things. And I think, actually, I don't think he has as much money as we first thought. But having said that, I don't think he's actually running it himself. I think he's got other people underneath him, which is what Terry touched on earlier. And I think they're probably making some poor decisions. It's okay running a football club like a business, but you have to appreciate that there are differences. You know what I mean? You can't solely run it as a business because it's a sporting club at the end of the day with thousands of people behind it that are invested emotionally into it. So it's not just like, it's business, it's cutthroat. No, you can't really run it like that. You're talking about people here, not just the fans as well, the players involved. So it wouldn't surprise us if the club is up for sale. And I agree with Terry. I'm on the fence a little bit. I know people have sometimes said in the chat, you stick up for them. I don't. I just try and see things from a rational point of view. And I think at the minute, this season has been a real eye-opener for a lot of fans, and a lot of fans want them gone. But I'll be tempted to give them at least the summer before I start thinking get them out. But I wouldn't surprise us if they are touting the club, because even owners now, there's nothing really long-term in football, but very much these days, is there? Even the players, managers don't stay long. Even owners aren't staying a huge length of time at a club anymore. So it's not like we're going to get somebody like Bob Murray who's involved for 20 years. Those days are gone.
You hear 2 or 3 different rumours here. One side of the coin, he wants to sell the club for 75 million. But let's face it, if an owner came up to him and said, look, I know you'd never mentioned about selling the club, but you bought it for 35. I'll buy it for 75. He'll take it. I think he'll take it and run. And you hear the rumours that it's up for sale, which I think is bollocks anyway. But then also the other side of the coin, you hear somebody saying that, or he loves the club and he wants to really put wrongs right this next season. Again, for me, that's bollocks as well, you know. So the rumours are worth nothing at this moment in time. So we need hard facts. That's why we need something to come out from the club. Somebody, it's not from his mouth. He pass it down to somebody who's speaking for him, and just let us know what's going on with the club. This is limbo is the worst thing.
The silence has been deafening. You know, obviously the rumours have been all over. There's not one person from the club come out and said, "Look, it's a load of shite." There's nobody said that. And you know, I can see why people still defend them. You know, they keep on saying they got us out of League One and they've done this, that, and the other. But you know, yes, they got us out of League One, but we didn't win League One by 10 points. You know, it wasn't a case of we actually ran away with the league. We sneaked to the playoffs. That's what we did. So I don't know. For me, I just think I'd like to see them. I'd like to see them gone. And careful what you wish for, because you know who's going to come in and replace them. But for me, I've had enough of them. Like I say, I just think that they're not wanting to budge on the model. A perfect opportunity for to get a new manager in when they got rid of Beale hasn't happened. You know, we've ended up with Dodds, and that's because people have turned us down that wouldn't work under him. And that for me just says it all. If managers won't come in and work with the sporting director, then that you've got no chance. You've got no chance of attracting a top manager. I mean, I don't know whether you've seen the latest odds today have come out for the new manager now. I don't know where they're getting these from, but Roy Keane's the new favourite, 11-10. He turned us down last year. Why would he want to come? You know, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Jack. But Roy Keane favourite again, 11-10.
It's just it's the same. It's the same thing that happens every time. Every time we get rid of a manager, Roy Keane's name's mentioned at the top of the bet, and then a few fans will say, "Yeah, bring Roy Keane back. He'll give us a lift and everything." He's walked away quite a few times. He walked away from Ireland at the World Cup. He walked away from Sunderland, the Sunderland job. The last time he's walked away from assistant managers a couple of times. He's a very volatile, temperamental character. Worked fantastically. Nobody loved him more than I did first time he came in. It was absolutely brilliant, but I don't think it would work this time again. He hasn't been a manager since 2011 as well, when he left Ipswich. I know he's been involved with football, assistant manager at Villa and Forest and Ireland, but he hasn't been actually at the helm since 2011. I don't think there's no way he'd work under this structure, so it's dead in the water. Yeah, absolutely no chance would Roy Keane give any lack of. He wouldn't do a job where he's got a lack of control. There's no chance of that happening.
No, Terry, thoughts on like you say that. These rumours about Roy Keane being the next manager. I just think we're going to end up with another yes man. As long as Speakman's in control, we'll end up with another nobody in the same backroom stuff.
It proves how good he is, because for me, the sack Tony Mowbray with absolutely no plan. They had absolutely no idea who was going to come in. They had no plan. They had they think, well, we'll just bring somebody in, but they're not going to just come in under the current regime, having the hands tied, having no experience in the club, working in those circumstances. You're only going to get a young, up-and-coming head coach who's going into his first job, who will go in and probably be a yes man and do his best with what he's got. You're going to get nobody with any kind of experience coming in and doing this job under this regime. Roy Keane, the bookmakers are just trying to take money off people who have the love for Roy Keane. They put him favourite, people go, "Oh, I'll put some money on that." The bookies are just taking the piss. There's not a million years he's going to come to club in this certain circumstances. I don't think he'll ever manage again.
No,
he's got a cushy job. Why would he leave that cushy life, cushy job, his own boss, does what he wants, to come and be a manager at a football club? It's not going to happen. There's more chance of Speakman selling, KLD selling, a new one coming in and getting Sam Allardyce than he is ever of Roy Keane coming back. I think it's Sunderland.
I mean, Jack, it would be typical Sunderland, because what happened is, like Terry's been saying there, we've got no plan. We're going into the summer, we'll drift into the bottom half of the table. We'll go into the summer, we'll not be able to get a manager. 2 or 3 weeks before the season starts, we'll have no transfers. Then we'll end up with Dodds back in charge again. That's probably what'll happen. What can you see happening in the close season?
It sounds depressing, but it does sound slightly accurate. I hope you're wrong. I don't know. I would like to think that there's no excuse for them taking the time over the manager, because they've known from February, when Beale's been sacked, we're already a month gone. So and it's going to be another 2 months till the end of the season, or sort of 6, 7, 8 weeks, if you want to call it that. So I'd like to see a manager in by 1st of June at the latest. I want to see a new manager in. I want to see him have a good 6 or 7 weeks to get involved with the club, then the pre-season, because we've got no excuse for starting slowly now, have we? Because this was the whole point of giving it the Dodds till the end of the season, to get the right man in and get the right time. And also this summer, we're getting the recruitment's needed as well better, because they're under huge scrutiny now from the players that have been brought in, not just in terms of the amount that were brought in. You touched on it earlier, Wayne. The players that were brought in this season have been more missed than hit, haven't they? So they're under huge scrutiny, and I think this is going to be where I'll properly judge them. If we start next season poorly and the manager that they've appointed is sacked, and I'll be on your side, Wayne. I'll be saying get them out, because I think they're doing more harm than good. The only slight thing I would say is, and this isn't a huge positive, but we have wanted owners gone in the past, and they've been replaced by people that we haven't really been a fan of. We wanted we didn't want the Irish company out, but Ellis Shaw came in that did well to start with, and then we wanted him out, and then look, came Donald and Methven and them, and we didn't like them. So sometimes, just sitting tight a little bit and waiting for them to see what happens might be the best option.
Good show. Do you want to read the final comments out before we wrap up?
Yeah, I'll read a few. Again, there's been loads in the meantime, so I can't read as many out as I can. Emma was talking about our for the season ticket. She says keeps coming up with our auto renew, but it's still trying to charge me. Stephen Clark says whole stadium needs an upgrade. Everything. Speakman, head coach, team. Stephen Clark wants the lot change. Paul Havelock says we need Bob the Builder. Can he fix it? Probably not. Just talking about the owners a bit further down. Mike says professional excuses. That's what they do best. John Nesbitt says the one Clark got, prefer the money. KLD and Speakman are the enemy within. He said that again. Stephen Clark, rumours that Mike Ashley wants to buy something. I think he's just winding us all up. We probably could do worse. We could probably do worse than Mike Ashley. I don't want him, but there's probably worse owners out there. He certainly had the Mags making more of a profit than we are. I know that. And yeah, last comment, David Brown. Careful, fellas. Speakman might be the henchman for Dreyfus and Sartori. Speakman going may well change nothing.
Terry?
Question I want to ask is both. How long will those two window cleaners take to clean the whole Stadium of Light? Will they still be there in the first game of the new season, washing the final bits?
Why don't you take your jet wash around, Terry? Why don't you go down the night and see if you can make? I
bet they're getting paid minimum wage as well.
Well, yeah, they reckon that when they're jet washing it, it's just showing up more stuff that needs repainting. So they're probably doing a worse job. Just left
we'll get it crowdfunded. We'll get it crowdfunded. Every member in this chat, if you can give Terry a tenner, he'll go and try and clean it. Did you?
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't done what they did with the seats. Get us off and get our jet wash down, have a go ourselves.
That's it, isn't it? That'll be the next step. They'll try and spin it as a PR thing, won't they? Get involved, clean the stadium.
Help clean your own stadium, dear me. Anyway, 158 people watching. We're on 80 likes. We've got 20 more to get to 100. If you don't mind, keep hitting that like button. But that's just about it. Final question then, Jack. Will Speakman and Dreyfus still be here at the start of next season?
Yes, I think. Yes.
Terry?
As much as it breaks me heart, I think yes.
Aye. Do you think them rumours have all been unfounded, or you think that I still think there might be something in it made?
Well, you're just saying Speakman's contract's up in the summer, so if there's going to be a fresh start, then that'd be ideal for him to go, and then for KLD to actually change what he's been doing. But you just hear nothing from the club, so you have no idea what the plans are, what's going on. So while that's the way it is, you just think of the worst, don't you?
You do. I mean, if I'm Dreyfus and I'm seeing the criticism what Speakman's getting, you just got to grow a pair of balls. Look at you've been here 2 or 3 years. It's not working.
What made us laugh the most was on Instagram, on the Sunderland official web page on Instagram, whatever it was. It was pass of the week. Literally pass of the week. That's what it's called with this club. Pass of the week. No, not shot. Not even a shot on target. Just a pass from the middle of the park to the right.
But what you're not saying, Terry, was pass of the week. It was actually Hamiyat attempting a shot.
On that note, then, Jack, do you want to say your farewells?
Yeah, I'll just thanks for everybody for commenting and getting involved. As I always say, if it was just us three, we'd just be three blokes rambling to ourselves. So it's the people getting involved that make the show. Thanks for your support. No football this weekend, so we know that Sunderland aren't going to spoil our weekend at the very, very least. But hopefully we'll be back, if not next week, then the week after. And I'll see everybody later, lads and lasses.
Cheers, Jack. Terry?
Exactly. Enjoy your stress-free weekend. And thank you for everybody who's put the thumbs up, for watching at night and giving the comments. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Cheers and take care.
Great stuff. Cheers, Terry. Yes, that's it from me. Like I said, don't forget to have a look at the Retro Hub on the website. The link is in the description below. We're finishing off on 88 likes, so thank you very much to everybody who's contributed. Loads of comments tonight. But next week we'll be back with the preview of the Cardiff City game, I believe, and see what's happened between now and then. You never know, we might have a new owner. But until the next time, we'll see you later. Ta-ra.
See you later.